Mayor and members of the council, the meeting is now being live streamed.
Thank you, City Clerk. The meeting will now reconvene at 6:17 p.m. City Attorney, please provide the closed session report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The City Council is now back in open session, having met in closed session to discuss the item listed on the agenda. Staff provided a report, but no reportable action was taken. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. If there is no objection by the City Council, I will now adjourn the closed session City Council meeting at 6:18 p.m. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 24th, 2026, 6 p.m. regular joint meeting of the Bell Garden City Council and successor agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will now come to order at 6:18 p.m. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any members of the City Council should have a conflict of interest, please announce any item you're recusing yourself from due to conflict of interest prior to the item being heard. Tonight's invocation will be given by Minister Daniel Anguiano, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Chief Paul Camacho.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. If we can please come to our feet as we go to prayer before God. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this wonderful opportunity that you grant us to be here, Lord. Thank you for every day that you grant us, for your mercies, for your love, Lord God, and for your blessings that you give us every day, although we are undeserving. We bring before you tonight's agenda. God, you know every need of our city, every need of our residents, God, and you, Lord, provide every resource that, Father God, our council members and our city staff needs, Lord Jesus. We just thank you, Father, and I present before you, Lord, the men and women that put their lives on the line, that go out to protect us every day, Lord. We just pray that you bring them back safely. We thank you for our chief of police, God, and that you may protect them, Lord Father. I declare, Lord, the words given to Prophet Isaiah. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And we pray this over our city. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Remain standing. Please face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call of the members of the City Council and successor agency?
Thank you. Yes. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcena.
Present.
Councilmember Chavez.
Present.
Councilwoman Sanchez.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Guillen. And Mayor de la Rosa.
Present. We will now move forward with presentations. City Manager, will you please announce the presentations?
Thank you, Mayor De La Rosa. Tonight, we are recognizing by providing a certificate of recognition to Super Pizza Veloz. If you can please come up to the front while Mayor will say a few words.
Buenas tardes, señor Crescencio. ¿Cómo está? Bienvenido.
Muy bien, gracias por la invitación y por el reconocimiento.
Sí, estamos viendo que pues ya van a cumplir los 23 años aquí en la ciudad de Bell Gardens, ¿no?
Así es.
Así es. Cuéntenos un poco más de cómo llegó a nacer la Super Pizza Veloz y la historia, ¿no? Detrás de este negocio tan dichoso en la comunidad.
Así como gracias por la invitación y por el reconocimiento nuevamente. Y sí, de hecho, yo trabajaba con el antiguo dueño antes, cuando él comenzó en la ciudad de Bell, y de ahí él decidió abrir una pizzería en la ciudad de Bell Gardens en el 2003, y en ese momento pues nos ofreció la pizzería a nuestra familia, y mi papá fue el que se animó a comprarla, y pues él estuvo ahí hasta el 2020 que él falleció por el COVID, ¿verdad? él nos dejó el legado de la pizza y pues aquí estamos, ¿verdad? Para servir a la comunidad, que la comunidad es la que nos ha dado esta oportunidad de seguir adelante, ¿verdad? Y seguir con el nombre de Super Pizza Veloz y pues siguiendo con la tradición de mi papá.
Ok, qué bonita historia. Y desde chico me acuerdo de que pues cada vez que hacían como eventos en las escuelas, en clase, siempre pues nos traían pizza, ¿no? Y pues bueno, había otras pizzas, ¿no? Que nos traían como de Costco y todo, pero cada vez que traían de la de Super Pizza Veloz, no, hombre, pues ahí es donde todos se alegraban, ¿no? Y sí se sabe la diferencia, ¿no? Es súper delicioso y pues felicidades por 23 años de éxito aquí en la comunidad de Bell Gardens y ya sabe, aquí estamos para apoyar en cualquier manera que se pueda y felicidades y gracias por escoger a Bell Gardens en confiar en la comunidad y pues aquí estamos.
Pues muchas gracias a todos nuevamente por el reconocimiento, ¿verdad? Y primeramente gracias a Dios porque pues Él es el que nos da la vida y la salud para trabajar y para servir a la comunidad. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Manténgase en el podio mientras mis colegas dicen un par de palabras y en un momento le presento el certificado y nos tomamos una foto, ¿ok? Sí. Any words for my fellow colleagues?
No, gracias, felicidades también, pero más que nada gracias por su servicio a la comunidad y también por hacer una pizza diferente que les gusta a todos los de Bell Gardens.
Gracias por compartir su historia, muy bonita, y que siga disfrutando muchos años más en nuestra comunidad y que Dios lo bendiga.
Bueno,
23 años es muchos años, ¿verdad? Y ojalá sean muchos, muchos más años. Y gracias por compartir lo de su papá. Y sé que está muy orgulloso de ustedes y que sigan aquí en Bell Gardens. Muchas gracias.
gracias.
De parte mía, nomás les quiero agradecer por su tiempo, por hacer un partnership pues, que aquí con nuestra comunidad. Yo sé que cuando hemos tenido los reconocimientos para los empleados al último del año, ya cuando estamos haciendo el almuerzo, yo he ido a Super Pizza Veloz y les he pedido también si me pueden cooperar con dar una donación para los empleados de la ciudad y siempre han estado allí, una tarjeta de regalo o dar unos cupones para los empleados. Solo les agradezco eso y también quería decir que la industria de pizzas no es fácil. Me imagino que hay obviamente mucha competencia y pues les agradezco que estén aquí en Bell Gardens. Quiero que sepan que la ciudad de Bell Gardens es también su casa y he mirado que también que están expandiendo. Acá, sé que recientemente abrieron en Downey también una super pizza veloz. Sí, y pues de nuevo los felicito y pues que sepa, como dijo el alcalde, aquí estamos para apoyarlos. Muchas
Muchas
gracias.
gracias.
Gracias a todos, sobre todo gracias a usted, señor Crescencio. Le voy a leer aquí el certificado que le tenemos. Dice aquí que en inglés, honrando a Super Pizza Veloz, dice, The City of Bell Gardens proudly recognizes Super Pizza Veloz and commends your excellence in crafting quality pizza. As a family-owned pizzeria, Super Pizza Veloz has been proudly served the delicious pizza in the city of Bell Gardens since 2003 and has become a beloved staple in our community. As you celebrate your 23rd year in Bell Gardens, we applaud your continued commitment to quality, exceptional service, and bringing delicious pizza to our community. We extend our best wishes for your continued success and growth. Signed by the City Council of the City of Bell Gardens. Felicidades, señor
gracias.
Crescencio. Ahorita hay que pasar hacia enfrente y nos tomamos una foto. ¿Ok? Gracias. We will now move to public participation for items not listed on the agenda. Public participation is now open. Please announce the instructions for public participation.
Thank you. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items not listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, subject to an overall 30-minute period. Callers wishing to speak may do so at this time by dialing *9 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining through Zoom may request to speak by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or the microphone icon when instructed. We didn't receive any public comment cards and we didn't receive any written comments. We do have one person virtually raising their hand. Zoom ID beginning with the name Mario. If you would please select the microphone icon and continue with your comment.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just scroll right through here. Where am I here on this? As the committee.
We're on non-agenda items.
Non-agenda, okay. So, the thing I want to say to non-agenda, I don't know if I can hit on this. Is that guy's pizza any good? I mean, because I want to try it. We don't have a Super Velaz pizza here in Southgate. So, council members, I'm going to try that pizza. If that pizza's crap, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say, you guys lied to me. You're putting out misinformation here to the public. So I'm going to try this Super Velaz pizza. And the thing I want to share with you guys, we got a pizza place here in Southgate called Southgate Pizza on Long Beach Boulevard. Oh my gosh, don't even bother. Don't even bother. Let me tell you, I don't know how you fuck up a pizza. These people figured out a way. And I told the city clerk, try this pizza. She tries the pizza, and her husband says to her, he recommended this. Why did he do that? I wanted to get confirmation. Was it just me? Did I get a bad pizza? She had the same experience, and I asked her, how would you describe it? She said it was like eating cardboard, and she's right because it was like as if they overcooked the crust. And it was stiff and it wasn't chewy. It was all wrong. So they're a new eatery. So maybe a year from now, somebody will clue them in and they'll figure it out, how to fix it. But right now, it's no good. It's a dud. The thing I want to hit on real quick, if I can squeeze it in, the cooling centers. What is the policy for Bell Gardens when it comes to cooling centers? Here, well, in Chitgate, it has to be predicted 3 days in a row, 95 degrees. Can you imagine that? It has to be that severe, that extreme before you open up a cooling center. So I'm curious, what is the policy for your cooling centers? Again, here, it's got to be 95 degrees, 3 days in a row, and all in with that. Thank you.
Thank you. And to be clear, he was not referring to the city clerk. What he was referring to with I did not try the Southgate pizza. Just to be clear.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Daisy can say that Super Pizza Veloz is delicious here.
It was
right,
good.
Daisy?
Yes, I went back for a second.
There you go. You heard it here.
I have another virtual participant. If you would please select the microphone icon and proceed with your comment.
Nigger, 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 I made you out of clay. Nigger, 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 what monkey I shall play. Nigger, 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 you are so very gay. Nigger, 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 George Bush wants the USA.
That is the last virtual public comment that we received.
Thank you so much. City Clerk, is there any other hand raised or any attendee who wishes to speak?
No, that was the last virtual participant with their hand raised.
Thank you so much. If there's no objection by the members of the City Council successor agency, I will close public participation for non-agenda items. Up next, we'll go ahead and open up public participation for items listed on the agenda. City Clerk, please announce the instructions.
Thank you. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to speak on items listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Callers wishing to speak may do so at this time by dialing *6 from your phone, and when instructed, dial *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining through Zoom may request to speak by using the raise hand feature and select the unmute or microphone icon when instructed. We will begin to hear from the members of the public that are physically present in the council chamber. We did not receive any written communication.
Thank you, City Clerk. We'll go ahead and begin with Edwin Gonzalez for agenda item 11.5.
Good evening to all of you. During a period of such harsh political climate, I believe the city of Bell Gardens has given its residents things to cheer about, and more important, the hope that it will continue to persevere. But should this community lose vast amounts of revenue that it relies on, it will definitely be the ultimate test of resiliency. I've been following the situations in neighboring cities. Southgate is imploding with a projected deficit of $9 million. Then Long Beach is self-destructing with a potential deficit of approximately $58 million. Eventually, they'll be forced to make cuts to services. They will painfully have to lay people off, including law enforcement personnel. That's how bad things are in the second largest city in Los Angeles County. But as far as BG goes, the main component that keeps the community function is the revenue generated from the casino and the card games that take place there. With cannabis, you'll generate revenue and stimulate the local economy, and with Measure B, you'll have something to fall back on. But one would rather not imagine the devastation caused to the local economy if it stands to lose anywhere between $5 to $7 million in revenue. But if such a predicament would occur, you'll have to produce more with less resources, which can be done. If you consolidate facilities, if you train certain departments to fulfill other tasks. I spoke to the director of human resources in my city and discussed our community services and told her we were offering services that are not being used. So I mentioned that maybe there is a possibility of offering less services, but ones that serve the community better. Very often, quality makes a bigger difference than quantity. But this council should continue to take the initiative in Sacramento and advocate for your community. I'm assuming that the tribal casinos will continue persuading the state to rule in their favor and impose the regulations that they have been trying to impose. 7 years ago, I had a pretty unique experience. I lived in Commerce in a hotel. Then I ended up with my family in another hotel in Bell Gardens, right across the casino. For 7 months, I saw how critical that revenue is for both cities. And one day I'll tell you all the details regarding that adventure. Council, thank you so much for listening. Take care and God be with you.
Zoom ID beginning with the name Mario. If you can please select the microphone icon and proceed with your comment.
Yeah, Councilmember, sorry about that little mishap before. I was a bit lost. I was helping out my grandmother with some food that she wanted. So I had to step out of my room. Yeah, I had to confirm with Mr. Gonzalez. Yeah, my city's in a toilet. 9.4 million is the structured deficit that we're in. And if we don't get that utility user tax, we're dead in the water. The thing I want to say on these items, 10.8, the consideration of the resolution approving the South Coast Air Quality Management District, the green space. Yes. Oh, that's great that you guys are doing that. I want to salute you on that. And then the next one, 10.9, resolution approving grant agreement between the city of Bell Gardens and the LA 84 Foundation for the Learn to Swim program. That's great. Wonderful that you're doing that for your residents. This consent calendar, a lot of great stuff here. A lot of great stuff you guys got here. But the one I really want to hit on is discussion regarding holiday decorations, 11.4. So my city hall here, we got a street called Tweedy Boulevard, and the decorations go up, and we have a thing called the Business Improvement District, and this is where the businesses on Tweedy Boulevard, they pay into a fee, and the fee goes into a fund, and then the Tweedy Mile, what's it called? The Tweedy Mile Advisory board. These are residents or commissioners. They determine how the funds get spent. So the funds pretty much can only get spent on the decorations and those lights, those decorative lights that you see on the trees on city streets. And but it's a meager sum. It's only 18,000. And what they call the garlands are the ones that are suspended up above the street, not the ones that are fixed and attached to the poles. No, those are separate. The ones that are the garlands are the ones that go up above. Those are much more costly. And if you come here in Shitgate, they look like trash. They look like garbage. They just, there's just years of neglect, just wear and tear. So yeah, if you guys can provide that for your residents, and you have the funds, go for it. I'll end with that.
Thank you. That was the last virtual participant with their hand raised.
Thank you, City Clerk. If there's no objection by the members of the City Council, I will now close public participation. Moving on to the next item, committee updates. Does any member of the council have anything to report? If not, we'll proceed with the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor De La Rosa and members of the City Council. First, I would like to thank all of our staff for continuing hard work and dedication to service of the community, as well as the City Council for support. I also want to give you a brief overview of what the events and projects that are happening in the city. Again, the street construction continues on Eastern and Garfield and Florence and Gage. Appropriate signage has been posted and work is scheduled to be completed by September. We appreciate everybody's, the community's patience in during this important street improvements. We do have cooling centers that are available to all residents and are open daily at Veterans Park from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. We follow the county's standards, but we also look at what the weather is as well, and not only the county standards. Also, the county library is open as a cooling center as well. August 26th, there will be a neighborhood watch at Vista del Rio community starting at 6 p.m. Also on the same day, the Foot Golf Challenge at BG Golf Course from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. August 28, residential art and yard sale Friday event will be held at Veterans Park beginning at 10 a.m. On September 7th, City Hall will be closed in observance of Labor Day. And September 12th, the Fiestas Patrias, El Grito de Independencia at Veterans Park at 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Please join us. In our consent item, just a few highlights. Item 10.5, resolution approving professional service agreement with a independent financial and annual audit services. 10.5, a resolution approving professional service agreement with HDL's communities companies for business license administration. These two items were just brought back for business additional changes to their agreement. 10.6, resolution approving grant agreement between the city and City of Bell Gardens and Department of California, the CHP grant for drug prevention and education. And 10.7, a resolution authorizing the installation of red curb parking restrictions fronting 6037 Gage Avenue. And 10.8, a resolution approving an agreement with South Coast Air Quality for the installation of 50 trees throughout the city. 10.9, a resolution approving a grant agreement between the City of Bell Gardens and LA 84 Foundation for Swim Program. That concludes my report. And
Thank you so much, Mr. Acosta. We will now proceed with the consent calendar. Does any member of the council wish to pull an item for separate discussion? And if not, may I have a motion to approve items number 10.1 through 10.9?
I move.
Second.
City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call?
Yes, thank you, members of the council and successor agency Barsana,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sanchez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guillen, and Mayor De La Rosa.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
thank you very much. And now we'll proceed with discussion item number 11.1. City Manager, will you please announce the discussion item?
Discussion item, thank you, Mayor De La Rosa. The item number 11.1, local commission vacancies.
Any changes from my fellow colleagues? And if not, proceed with the following item, number 11.2.
Thank you. 11.2, a discussion regarding approving plans and specifications and authorizing soliciting bids for the ATP Cycle 6, Bell Gardens Complete Streets Improvement Phase 2. Director of Public Works, Bernie Nigas, will be providing you a presentation on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. I'll wait for the presentation to be called up. So I'll go ahead and start with some background. On January 26th of 2026, staff provided the, pardon me, this is the wrong presentation. Again, I apologize for that technical difficulty. So again, we'll start with some background. In 2008, Assembly Bill 1358, which is also known as the Complete Streets Act, was signed into law. This act requires cities and counties to ensure that local roads and streets adequately accommodate multiple users. So this includes bicyclists, pedestrians, transit riders, as well as motorists. In 2016, the city received funding from the California Department of Transportation, also known as Caltrans, to develop a citywide complete streets plan. In February of 2020, the city council adopted the city's complete streets plan. The goal of the plan is to construct safety improvements for the benefit of pedestrians and cyclists, along with vehicular traffic. After the adoption of the plan, Public Works then applied for grant funding to implement the components of the plan. Due to the number of recommended improvements in the plan and their estimated costs, the plan was divided into phases. The city received Active Transportation Program, or ATP Cycle 5 grant funds from Caltrans for Phase 1, and we are currently completing those improvements as we speak. The city also received Cycle 6 grant funds for Phase 2. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to City Engineer Doug Benage to talk about ATP Cycle 6.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. ATP Cycle 6 was awarded to the city for a grant of $2,964,000, and that's Phase 2. This work includes constructing street improvements on various locations throughout the city, including Spect Avenue, Engage, Live Oak Street, Priority Street, Purdy Avenue, Gephardt, Perry Road, and Hannon Street. These improvements include the installation of high visibility crosswalks, expanding the pedestrian walkways, curb extensions to shorten the distance for pedestrians to cross the street, high intensity crosswalk beacon, a pedestrian activated beacon at Gage and Spect, class 3 bicycle routes, ADA compliant curb ramps, raised crosswalks, additional speed humps, longitudinal pavement striping, and LED flashing stop sign on raised median islands and the residential intersections. The map here shows the various locations of the work, primarily on Spect from Gage to Lubeck, Live Oak from eastern, coming eastern to the school, Purdy from Eastern to Habanera, Gephardt. I'm sorry, my eyesight's going bad. Gephardt down in the middle from Clara going south to Quinn, or one street before Quinn, and then Perry Road from Florence Place to Foster Bridge, and Hannon from Chalet to. And I can't read that one, but it's over there. Primarily the streets in question, we do speed humps and proposed blinking stop signs at the circle locations. It's hard to see the green, but we're doing additional on speed humps on Perry Road in and around Loveland. We're also putting additional speed humps on Live Oak by the school. A typical speed hump location. The solar powered stop sign details are as we've done in ATP Cycle 5, with the LED blinking on the raised median island, as shown here. Speckton Loveland, we're installing an island to mitigate the cut through traffic that comes from Gage and turns right, eastbound Gage that turns right into Speck and into the neighborhood. Here, if you turn into that street when the construction is completed, you'll only be able to make a right turn at Speck and Loveland, thereby mitigating the cut through traffic that way. And then at Gage and Speck, we'll put another hawk signal in there like we're doing at Gage and Ajax. And when it's complete, they'll look and operate similar to that. Curb extensions and bulb outs will occur at Live Oak, where the mid-block crosswalks for students occur now. Live Oak and Audubon area, the northeast and southeast corners. Eastern and Priority Street, the northeast and southeast corners. Purdy and Priority Street, the northwest corner. And Gage and Speck, northwest and southwest corners. And then we're doing a major curb extension at Foster Bridge and Perry Road at the northwest corner. And curb extensions from the mid-block areas are similar to this on Lubeck at Specht. And then also at the intersections of this is more Lubeck and Eastern. Our tentative bid schedule is we're requesting authorization to bid the project tonight with publication on August 27th. A mandatory pre-bid on September 9th, last day for questions on September 16th, with a bid opening on September 23rd. And then council will bring a recommendation for council award of contract at the October 26th meeting. A pre-construction conference in November, along with ordering of all materials. The Hawk signal being the longest lead item is about 6 months out. So we anticipate construction to begin in April and probably in April, May, then complete at the end of June. I'll turn it back over to Bernie.
Thank you, Doug. In regard to the fiscal impact for fiscal year 26-27, under our capital improvement budget, we have approximately $2.6 million remaining in ATP funds. This consists of approximately 2.3 million allocated for construction and approximately 313,000 for construction engineering and management. The engineer's estimate for the construction itself is 1.7 million. So with that, we recommend that the City Council approve the plans and specifications for the ATP Cycle 6, Bell Gardens Complete Streets Improvements, Phase 2. Authorize staff to solicit competitive bids and publish the notice inviting sealed bids. And find that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to Guidelines Section 15301C. That concludes our presentation, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
I just want to add that all these measures are for traffic calming and safety. And just to be clear that what the projects are for, and just a little bit note on that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Acosta, Doug, Mr. Iniguez. One of the most talked about concerns from our residents is regarding the islands, right, that are in the intersections, right? And although they serve a strong purpose, with these types of funding, is it mandatory to implement those specific portions onto the improvements on these streets, or is that something that's tangible?
when we went through the Complete Streets project process, that plan sort of gave us the roadmap of how what improvements would work best in the city. This solution of the raised median islands and with the stop signs, the flashing stop signs, provides less impacts on area parking in the local residential areas. The original proposal was to put speed or miniature roundabouts in the intersections, but that would impact parking at the intersections greater thereby reducing parking. So that was the basis of our reasoning to install these, is try to maximize parking in the residential neighborhoods.
And to expand on the city engineer's response, this solution was reviewed by Caltrans, and it was approved by Caltrans as a viable traffic calming measure.
Thank you so much for the insights. Just to put it on the record, I was taking an unusual route to work the other day, and I went through Greenwood, and I did get to see firsthand the development of those miniature roundabouts in a residential community, and it's interesting. But thank you, Doug, for those details as to why these islands are the best alternative option for this type of improvement. Um, my next question is regarding the ATP funding and the budget. So with the total estimated cost, what would happen to the remaining amount? Is that something we can roll over, or is that something that just dissipates after the funding is expired?
Any unused funds will be returned back to Caltrans. And goes back into the overall pot as that could be reallocated on future grant application packages.
Thank you so much. That concludes my questions at this point. I'll open it up for my fellow colleagues to make questions or comments.
So I know that the focus is for calming traffic and safety. Was there a study put together? Was there data gathered for there to be these specific measures within these streets?
Yes, we did traffic volumes and accident histories at the various locations, and required and that's required. It was one of the requirements of the grant application package prior to construction, and then 6 months after construction is complete, we got to go back through and evaluate it to see the performance analysis.
And as far as the raised stop signs, the little islands, I know that you said the reason to put those was to maximize the street parking still. What other options would there be available? Would it just be the small roundabouts? What other options were there prior to deciding on this?
Well, originally, even before we put the raised median islands, all those intersections were four-way stop signs to begin with. And there was enough accident history there that required some methodology to be addressed at an intersection to mitigate the accidents. In the first analysis with the complete streets, it was roundabouts to try to force people to slow down and swerve around something as they went through the intersection. About when we did the further analysis, when we got into the design of it, those took more parking spaces away. That impacted that issue in town. So it's a balancing act. We try to do things in a fashion where we know we're cognizant of the fact that there's a parking issue here. So we try to do things that mitigate that impacts as much. Now, on another note, those design parameters were set in stone, and we went out to bid with it. Now come along, the state in its infinite wisdom has done the daylighting law, which is whole nother issue. So.
Mayor, if I may. Thank you so much for that presentation. I had a couple of questions, and I kind of wanted to go further from what the mayor was mentioning about, the sort of inquiries that we got about the little turn, what do you call those little center medians or
Raised
the
median.
raised medians? There you go, those raised medians. I'm a big believer in just education of the community, going out there and really kind of giving them a heads up, providing more outreach. And I know that we do have like community meetings. I know we do like a pre-construction meeting as well to kind of inform community about this. I mean, I remember going back to this even prior to COVID, we had we did a whole bulletin board, and we met at Ross Hall, and we did like little stickers, and we kind of picked and choose what was one the areas that were going to be. And at the time, they were roundabouts. They weren't little raised medians. So, anyways, I feel like, as I like this presentation, I'm excited for the Hawk signal. I think that's going to be really huge because right now, what folks see on Gage and Ajax is just a bunch of raised medians, but there's nothing really what's coming next. It's almost like a half done project. We still need to add those Hawk signals. Do we have a timeline for that?
Work begins tomorrow,
Okay, perfect. And then when would they be functioning, ready to go for people?
probably within 30 days.
Perfect. Okay. So that really helps out because, for the longest, I think it's been about, I don't know, 5 months, 6 months, give or take, that it's just kind of been folks right now, what they see is, well, now I can't make a left turn when I'm going north on Ajax, right? And now they can only make a right turn and so on and so forth. So I think a big part is education. I feel like as these newer projects are starting to come along, and this is sort of another level of the cycle, if maybe we can do more outreach to community. Ideally, what I would want to see, and I know we can't do this for every single project, but like some sort of notice in the mail, maybe for that jurisdiction that's really within that block, right? We do it to the first homes within that block, north, east, south, and west, and we can do that level of outreach. We can go further, and maybe we can have someone from our team actually go out there and canvas and drop off some of the flyers at the doors, and sharing with them, hey, this is the type of work that's going to be done in this area, and it's going to be done from this time to what I would say is project scope, the program, and then the timeline, right? How long is this actually going to happen for? And then following up afterwards. And I would even like to go further, and I'd say maybe we can get neighborhood watch involved in the sense of like, once the project is done, we can maybe do some sort of activity block meeting or event right there for that project that got done. So as all of the big raised medians came to effect, I really felt like it's not that there wasn't a lot of follow up, but there was a lot of cities doing this for this reason or cities doing this for that. And I know there was a lot of education that was done through social media, kind of trying to counteract a lot of that rhetoric. But I feel like there could have been a little bit more as far as just getting ready for that moment for it to happen, because we were more, to quote in our press meetings, I felt like it was a lot of reactive than instead of trying to us being proactive on some of this stuff. So anyways, those are kind of my comments. I just feel like a lot of it is education and just outreach to community. And if maybe we can just get ahead of it for the residents that are around there, we could do a notice in the mail. We can do a notice in the mail. We could do something. We can have someone canvass that area. We can partner up with the local schools nearby, and we can have a principal or counselor, whoever they are, who's in charge of the little notices that they give to students. Hey, if you happen to live in the street, we already have that database there. Why not give the parents, have the students give the notice to, their parents or their guardians and share this work is going to be done on your block. So anyways, those are just different methods of just outreach. And I would assume that for us doing all that level of inquiries, that we can potentially calm the just the wrong narrative out there. That's it for my comments. Thank you.
We could definitely look into, well, actually do some more outreach prior to the construction, and maybe timing the Hawk signal so the delay is not as long. So we can start the construction of and the timing of the Hawk signal so that the delay is not that long. I think that's one of the concerns of the public I heard, is that there's a vacant area there with nothing on it. So I think it's something that we can work on since we haven't started yet.
Definitely. So we're using ATP cycle 5 as lessons learned. So for cycle 6, we're taking a lot into account. Means and methods are typically on the contractor, but we have a little bit of headroom. What do I mean? The estimated project cost is lower than the amounts available. So it may drive up the cost if we dictate means and methods, but it is going to lessen the community impact. Now, for every project, we have the contractor basically hand out construction notices. So for this one, we can do an expanded one that shows the project elements, a timeline. So that's one avenue already. And then the other one, like Manny said, we'll pursue other options to disseminate the information.
Thank you for sharing that. If I could just say, one little thing about like the contractor, for example, doing the notices, that's where I'm a little bit, because contractor's gonna, do the work, maybe finish their time, and then they're gonna head out. Ideally, what I would say is if we can have potentially our own folks that work in the city that have relationships in the community, right? We already do this with like the block captains when we have neighborhood watch meetings. They're able to get everybody in that block to kind of get out there, but partnering up with maybe a local community org or somebody, or to the extension, we have all these local community groups that have a bunch of relationships that are on countless WhatsApp chats, kind of getting them to be good community partners and sort of spreading the word about why this is important, or this is the project that's gonna lead to. One of the thing I wanted to mention was with, like, for example, the Hawk signal that's gonna be up and running within the next month. Ideally, what I would say is, like, we really gotta, like, get that more. I mean, I would maybe we could do a ceremony where the mayor pushes the button for the first, he's the first person to push the button or something, and we'll do like a cover walk, like the Beatles as we're crossing the street or something. I forgot what that street was named, but
Abbey Road.
there you go, that road. We'll call it the Gage Road, the Gage Avenue, but something like that. Really gotta, showcase it and showcase the city, the wins of this is happening. Everybody said, like, folks don't walk here in the community. Now I can't make a right turn, but I mean, if I go around at 6, 7 in the morning, I can't tell you how many students walk to school, right? On Saturdays and Sunday morning, you see bicyclists heading to the river to get on to Ford Park to get onto the riverbed, right? So, it's just really, again, education and outreach to community, showcasing like, hey, how many of your students here in the community walk to school? Countless, more than half of the class is probably going to raise their hand. Anyways, that's it for my comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Mr. Chavez. And thank you, Mr. Iniguez, for mentioning that as well. We took Cycle 5 as a learning lesson, and we got a significant amount of community feedback. And again, with those center islands, some of the comments that I saw over and over was that it was just an empty block for a significant amount of time before the actual stop sign was implemented. And I'm not sure if it's a logistical matters or such, but yeah, it would be great if the downtime would be minimized in that sense. But thank you so much, and outreach is key with this type of development, and also it would be pretty awesome if we all crossed the sidewalk like like Councilmember Chavez mentioned. Pero see, with that said, is there any other comment or question in regards to this item from my fellow colleagues before we make a motion? And if not, I'll move.
I'll second.
City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call?
Yes, thank you. Members of the Council on Successor Agency, Barcena,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sanchez,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Gia,
Yes.
and Mayor de la Rosa.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
very much. City Manager, will you please announce the next presentation item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor De La Rosa. This item number 11.3, discussion regarding approval of installation of edge lines at Scout Avenue and Park Lane from Garfield Avenue to Clark Street. Again, this is another traffic traffic calming efforts near the Aquatic Center. And for that, Bernie Ignigas will provide you a presentation on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta. For this item, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to City Engineer Doug Benash.
Good evening. The project, Public Works is requesting the installation of edge lines on Scout Avenue and Park Lane due to the newly constructed Dreamers Aquatic Center, which has changed the traffic patterns and pedestrian activities. Staff evaluated the addition of white edge lines on Park Lane and Scout to address the new pedestrian traffic impacts and regarding perceived speeding activity on the street segment. Edge lines are visual white lines that narrow the travel lanes by using painted white lines on the roadway. I'm sorry. Use painted lines on the roadways to encourage drivers to just naturally slow down. On August 4th, the Traffic Safety Commission approved for City Council consideration the installation of edge lines on Scout and Park Lane. Aerially speaking, this is the limit of the work from Garfield on the west end all the way to Clara Street on the northeast end, encompassing the entire length of the Ford Park complex along with some industrial areas. This is currently what Park Lane looks like now, just a center median, or center stripe skip yellow line with some double yellow at various intersections. This is what our proposal will look like after the edge lines are installed. It's basically an 11-foot lane with a brand new yellow skip line. The estimated cost to install these edge lines is $1,000, which is in the city's street maintenance budget. And is our recommendation that City Council authorize the installation of the edge lines. And I will entertain any questions.
Regarding this particular development, what studies and to what extent were these streets analyzed?
Well, we took at 3 locations along that stretch of roadway. We took traffic data, 24 or about a week's worth of traffic data, counts and speed data. We also know historically that since prior to 2011, the former aquatic center has been closed. There's been no activity there at all. So there truly has been a dynamic change because of the aquatic center from what it's been for the last 10 years or more. So when you look at the traffic out there, you hear people complaining about speed and so forth. Our first recommendation is the edge lines. We're still in the process of evaluating, and we're getting prepared to present to the Traffic Safety Commission here at the September meeting, some more recommendations of what that data has shown us, recommendations to them first and subsequently to you, the City Council.
Much. And yes, myself just traveling through that specific segment, there is a lot of pedestrian activity. It's highly active throughout the day, right? With soccer games going on, on that earlier part of the street, and then the more you progress, the busier it gets, right? With the aquatic center and such. My next question in regards to this is since it has evolved, right, a lot over the last 10 years, traffic and parking would also evolve along with that. And my question is, would this type of development affect parking in any way?
No, it's just giving a visual cue to the drivers on the roadway. That's a a narrower lane that you got to traverse or travel through. Nothing more, nothing less. No, there's no impacts to parking. We're not changing any other configurations on the roadway.
Thank you so much. And again, regarding the cost of this type of project, we've seen how expensive developments can be, such as the previous item, right? In the millions range. What is the budget for this type of development?
About $1,000, and primarily it's a handheld striper. They get 2 guys walk behind and lay the stripe down, and however it takes them to walk, quarter mile to a half mile in each direction. And for
Awesome.
fast speeds as they go. So it's a pretty simple operation. It
Right.
would cost a little more if we hired a striper to do it, because they got the truck mounted paint equipment, which it is quicker, but because it's such a small project, I can't piggyback it onto another project at the moment.
Right. And what would be the approximate completion date for this?
I'd give it 30 days at the most.
That's awesome. That's great. And the only thing I'd suggest is that we provide them a cold glass of water as they're walking through these streets and this hot weather. But that concludes my questions and comments. Any other comments, questions from my fellow colleagues?
I was gonna say, why not make it a Gatorade or something?
Oh, why not make it the salud pouches with hydration? I think this would be great. This one in particular is horchata flavored. And this is not a sponsor, by the way. But but I just happen to be drinking one and it's been great. But anywho, I would like to entertain a motion.
Before we do that, just with all seriousness, I live by there, and at any given point that I drive by there, people do not respect the stop signs. And I gotten almost hit myself, so many times. And I tell the car, like, what are you doing? And so a lot of my neighbors constantly complain because they're like, we're walking, and cars just speed through. So I really hope that the striping does help some of those people that speed through, just because you're right. We haven't had a lot of activity per se, but now that the aquatic center is open, we do have a lot more activity. And at any given day, doesn't matter if it's morning, midday, night, there's people walking towards the park, whether it's towards the fields, towards the aquatic center, or just like the park itself. And so I really hope that the community takes really cautious, when they're driving by there, because the last thing I want to see is somebody get severely hurt or possibly, a pedestrian get hit and they end up dying. So this is really important to me and that the community stays safe. So I appreciate all your efforts in trying to navigate this.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Doug. I do want to piggyback off of Councilwoman Dr. Fenzalone, such as, because I also gone through there. I'll use my scooter, to go. I don't live too far from there, but when I'm going to the park or I'm going near the riverbed, I'm curious to see, and I might have missed it, but just in the process to be able to get some sort of speed bumps to kind of slow the traffic down on that area. How far along are we on that process, and can we even implement speed bumps in there?
Our recommendations to the Traffic Commission in September will give us direction on what we're doing. It's still, the reports are still in draft format yet.
Got it. And we have to wait until that report.
Yes. It'll be posted the Thursday before.
Okay.
If I can expand on that through the mayor. So right now, the street is not eligible for speed humps due to the posted speed limit. But as Doug has mentioned, on September 1st, we'll have a recommendation before the Traffic and Safety Commission on another continuation. And we think of it like a treatment train. So edge lines are the first step, and then we'll take our full study to determine what else can be done to the street. And if I could just expand on the edge lines, we have them over at Veterans Park. So they do help. It's an optical illusion that does cause driver to slow down because it seems like a narrower road. I just wanted to mention that.
A quick question. Are those the same lines that are on Quinn Street? Because they definitely work. I mean, I live on Quinn, and it's been a few years, but it definitely made a big difference. So just from my experience, it's gonna hopefully be a good turnout result.
Thank you very much. And if that's the case, any other comments or questions? May we have a motion to adopt staff's recommendation?
I move.
Second.
We have a motion and second. City Clerk, would you please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, members of the council and successor agency Barsana,
Yes.
Councilmember Travis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sanchez, Mayor Pro Tem Guillen,
Yes.
and Mayor de la Rosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, City Clerk. City Manager, will you please announce the next discussion item?
Thank you, Mayor De La Rosa. Item number 11.4, a discussion regarding holiday decorations. This is a little little early, but I figure we do a little more proactive and provide a update on holiday decorations and proposals for the council's consideration. With that, I'm gonna pass it over to Director of Public Works, Bernie Inigas, and Director of Recreation Community Services, Liz Nava, to provide you an update on this present.
Expansion alternatives. On February 9th, the council directed staff to proceed with the procurement of new holiday banner poles, along with overhead holiday banners on Florence Avenue, just east of Eastern Avenue. And then on April 13th, the city entered into an energy services agreement with ABM Solutions LLC for the Phase 2 energy project. As part of this project, ABM will be installing 2 new 28-foot holiday banner poles along Florence Avenue, just east of Eastern Avenue. Now, an update regarding the banner polls, based on the most recent schedule that has been furnished by AVM. On October 30th, AVM will get a confirmation that the polls have been shipped to them. This is a long lead item. They anticipate that on November 6th, they'll get delivery of the polls. And then from November 9th through the 20th, AVM will go ahead and install the poles. So as of right now, we are looking for our poles to be on the ground by November 20th. And then the couple images you see here are just representations. So this will not be the banner. This is just showing the location of where those poles would be. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Director Nava to talk about the actual decorations.
Thank you, Mr. Iniguez. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm just going to go into a little bit of details regarding some of the costs for the banner and, the skyline banners that go over the streets, and then provide some additional information for council's consideration for additional holiday decor throughout the city. We did inquire with a couple of firms who do holiday lighting about the cost for what is called a skyline banner, and that's what the banner is called that goes over the street. And of course, the costs vary depending upon style and whether or not council would like a generic message or a customized message with the City of Bell Gardens written in it. Customization is possible. However, we are talking with the firms about the possibility of doing it this year. It's looking like we won't be able to do a customized banner this year. However, we definitely can get one in the future should council so choose. Staff also researched options to add uniformed holiday decorations throughout the city. And just basically what we looked at was decorating city facility decor, city-owned center median poles. So those are the poles that we hang the graduate banners on in the center medians. And then the entry monuments, some of the entry monuments that are throughout the city. So in addition to what you see normally throughout the city, which is the decorations here at City Hall and the large tree that's at Veterans Park, there's 5 significant facilities that we looked into possibly adding decorations to. That's the Dreamers Aquatic Center, the Ford Park Recreation Building, the Veterans Park Building, the Neighborhood Youth Center, and our Public Works Building down on Garfield. So a large focal decorative, so whether it's a bow or a wreath or something that's lit and a focal point, and then string lights wrapped around the trees that are in the front of each of the facilities. And of course, our city staff already adds poinsettias and holiday trees inside the offices as well. So these are just some pictures just to remind you what we currently have. So something similar to this, and of course we could do different colors, but it would be something maybe that would be uniformed across the city. In addition to that, as I mentioned, we own approximately 50 of those center median poles. Those do not have electricity, so we are looking, we got costs for just maybe wrapping some garland and having a smaller bow on each of the poles. So something that would look similar to this, what you see here in this image. And then there's 11 entry monuments into the city. However, 6 of them are able to be decorated with string lights. And so last year we did some in-house, but that's also something that would have string lights around the monuments as well as a decorative feature like a large bow or a wreath. And so this is kind of an idea of what you could see. We do have some images from last year, but this is just a little bit different option for council as well. When it comes to holiday decor, the council has the option to either rent or lease the decorations or purchase the decorations. There's benefits to both. In the short term, it's better to rent the decorations because the cost is lower on the front end. If you choose to purchase, the cost is higher, obviously, because you're purchasing all of the decorations at once. However, labor on both ends is the same. So the cost for the purchase, as I mentioned before, or to rent or lease, it varies depending on the type of decorations you choose, if you want the professional installation, and the length of the agreement. So if you choose to lease decorations, the amount of the lease would vary depending on the length of the agreement. This bullet point is a little bit confusing. So the total cost for purchasing the decorations is about $12,000 to $20,000 in addition to what you would see for renting on the first year of an agreement. We'll go into that a little bit later as we break down the costs. But again, the cost for labor and installation is the same regardless if you purchase or lease. So we received some very generic quotes just to give council an idea of what a cost might be for these types of decorations that I mentioned before. This cost is lumped together with labor and materials. The quotes we were provided did not break them down, so we just have them lumped together. But just to give you an idea, currently with City Hall and the holiday tree is what we pay for. The 2 LED banners, depending on which direction council wants to go in, could range between 11 and 15,000. And again, depending on the type of decorations. So if you rent or lease, the cost is approximately $50,000 to $60,000. And then in addition to that, if you purchase on the first year, you're looking at between $62,000 to $70,000. But I want to be very clear that these are just estimates. If council decides to move forward, we would obviously put out an RFP to get proposals, and a final cost would be determined once we have proposals in. And it's kind of redundant, but I just said that. Staff, if council directs staff to expand the city holiday decoration, staff would prepare a request for proposals and for the decorations and the installations. And just a point of information, the cost for any expanded holiday decorations would be determined based on the final scope. So once a firm is selected, the final scope will include their final costs. And that concludes our report, and we are available for questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation and the estimates as well. Who knew decorations could cost so much, right? And at least growing up in my household, we would try to be creative when it would come to decorations and just an idea that I was just thinking of now that I did see on the presentation that the city does have approximately 50 poles, right, under our control. I was thinking maybe perhaps we could I don't know, just as a cost efficient alternative would be of kind of making those poles into like candy canes, red and white ribbons wrapped around, and it's something that wouldn't require such an extreme overhead in cost, whether it be leasing or purchasing, but it's just something that is, I'd say, cost efficient, and it doesn't require specialized installation costs with it. But that's just a suggestion, and I'm open to hear about the opinions from my fellow colleagues.
Thank you for the presentation. So I assume should the difference between rent, lease versus purchase, would we have the storage for it?
We would need to purchase a storage container that we can keep at probably our Ford Park yard.
Would be an additional.
An additional cost on the front end, correct?
Okay.
And then just to expand on that, the cost of a shipping container based on some we procured recently, it's approximately $5,000.
Would just be one that's needed, or depending on the decorations as well?
Depending on the decorations, based on what I've seen in another agency, no more than 2.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, this is exciting. I love the decorations topic. Certainly one of the passions that I really enjoy, especially as the time of the year approaches, right? That's what do they say? It's the best time of the year, right? Don't worry, I'm not gonna give no impression of Santa Claus here. Um, so I had a couple of questions. I wanted to begin by first and foremost, obviously thanking the staff and for bringing this presentation forward. I wanted to ask about the custom banner. I know that there's different banners depending on what kind of style or projection that we're trying to go for. I remember last year one of the things that we had talked about was there was going to be we were going to put these two poles, banner poles, but that this banner that we were going to put, it was not only going to be used for traditionally, December holidays, right? It was going to be used throughout the year for like different holidays or different announcements. I guess it's going to be one of those where you can put a message. I don't know if that's still the banner that we're talking about.
That is not, thank you for bringing that up. We did have a conversation about that earlier in the year, and we researched that's more of a message board that you'll see like on a monument sign. We have not found like an LED message board that goes over. So this would just include something similar to like what you see in the City of Commerce when you enter in, where it could be changed out. You could have multiple banners, but this would just be the cost for a single holiday banner. If the council decided that they wanted to do additional banners for throughout the seasons, it would be an additional cost.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. Because yeah, it was a little bit when I saw what it is, this is sort of what I expected initially as compared to last year when we talked about it. I felt like it was going to be different with messages and we could use it for different things. I also wanted to talk about the schedule. I know that it's projected to have the banner poles delivered or shipped until October 30th and delivered November 6th and November 9th to 20th installing it. Any idea why it's so close to the actual holidays? And obviously we're hearing about this in August, but I'm a little curious just on the schedule.
Yeah, the polls have always been a long lead item. It's an 8-month item. So when we got ABM, ABM, ABM under contract, pardon me, we pressed them. They sourced the polls from multiple locations. So it's actually an expedited schedule that they'll be able to deliver before the holiday season. Otherwise, yes, they would have been projected to be installed post the holiday season.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that's why I was a little bit thrown off, but I'm glad to hear that it was expedited and obviously that ABM was able to provide those polls, and hopefully they'll be ready to go for the December holidays. I wanted to ask about some of the different examples that were shown as far as areas that we want to focus on to expand the decorations. How did we end up picking these locations, right? The monuments, the 5 city facilities, for example. Yeah, what went into picking those locations?
So the city facilities are just because they're city owned and they're public facing, and we have our residents and community members visiting frequently. The monuments obviously are when people come into the city of Bell Gardens. So,
I meant more so as far as like the neighborhood youth center or Marlowe Park or like Hannon Park or all the other small little ones or like the golf course or any of the other small ones that we have a little monument, for example, on Park Lane and Garfield, that kind of has like a little plaques, or the dog park, right? That's another big one that we just did, or the skate park that has a lot of traffic, and I don't know, I think the 5 that were included was, I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. The Dreamers Aquatic Center, the Ford Ross Hall, Ford Park, Neighborhood Youth Center, and Public Works. I'm obviously assuming City Hall is getting the regular decoration that we get, and then Veterans Park is also getting the tree. But all the other little small things that we have in the city.
yeah, it was just because they're city operated facilities with staff that are there around the clock, and we have actual facilities. So Asmus Park does have a restroom facility, but there's not like a lobby or a staff presence there. So each of these main facilities have daily activity, daily staff presence, and are a large draw for the community and people who are visiting Bell Gardens as well. That's not to say that we couldn't consider adding decorations to all the other facilities. This is just to make uniform what you're seeing at City Hall to the major city facilities that are city-owned.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, the only reason I mention it is, for example, like the skate park I know gets a lot of traffic, and even then it's a little bit farther apart from where like the statue or better the tree is going to be. But it's one of those, and it's also on a main avenue like or Florence Place that has a lot of traffic, and it's right in front of residential streets. And then also we have our parade that goes through there too. I'm thinking that or the dog park that's right next to it. That's one of the new amenities here in the city. I'm trying to see as I'm going through I know he had put City Hall, the tree, those are going to be included. I'm obviously a big supporter of this. I think that, for the longest, community has always requested more of the holiday decorations. Ideally, I mean, I would want us to go even further in terms of really, for example, putting some sort of lighting on the trees. And I like the examples with having it wrapped. I like the mayor's suggestion about doing the candy canes. I think that idea is cute. And obviously the monuments is good too. And so anyways, I think that'll wrap it up for me. I think if I had to make a decision in terms of us leasing them or buying them, I'd say we buy them. I think this is an investment in making our community feel happier during the holiday seasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez. And I might want to throw in that if purchasing could be a lot more cost efficient, if we could probably reach out to another city that had previously purchased lights or equipment, maybe we could get a good deal if we buy it off of them rather than a vendor, right? With a higher markup. But then again, all right, so gotcha. So City Attorney, can you clarify the
We would have to go through
roadblocks?
formal bidding requirements because we're a government agency, so we would have to go through an actual process.
Maybe they'll donate it, right?
Quizás, no? But
If we get some of the
yes.
sponsorships, we can go ahead and imagine the city council meeting just having breaks like commercials. This meeting is brought to you by.
¿Verdad? No, hombre. Yeah, so yeah, that's an idea I'm open to exploring. Legal to like cover up a police vehicle with Christmas lights, to increase that Christmas spirit.
Yeah, we've seen that, and I think you were one of them. So I would say yes, as long as they're not too bright. And then I would have to say that I think maybe highway patrol will have an issue. Yeah, it all depends on the lighting, but yours was okay. Yeah.
Good Chief. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Chief, for clever. That was for the parade that we had.
Yes,
We can
right.
talk about that.
Clarification purposes, that was for the
Yeah.
parade. But Chief, I have seen in the past that a police vehicle is stationed on the corner of the massive Christmas tree we have at Veterans Park. Could we possibly cover that one with Christmas lights as well to increase that?
Sure, we could
Cool.
definitely do that.
Awesome. Just an idea, but then again, I'm open to any opinions from my fellow colleagues regarding the purchase of Christmas decoration equipment.
My only concern is, I guess we don't have all the numbers yet, right? It would come from general funding?
That's correct.
May I? Yeah. Just want to say I like the idea of the candy canes. Very cute. Yeah.
Cute and cost efficient, right?
Is this something that we budgeted in our general fund, or is this separate allocation that we're gonna have to figure out?
We have currently budgeted for what we do on the regular basis with the decorations at City Hall and at Veterans Park. We have added, last year we added some lights around the city, but I would need to defer to Director Iniguez to answer that. However, the additional for the additional decorations throughout the city facilities, the skyline, that is not yet budgeted, no.
My concern is I know that the community has been asking for this for a few years, right? When you drive through our city and then you go to some of our neighboring cities, they're a little bit more festive than we are, and I get that, right? But I just want to make sure that it's within our means to do that. So I don't know. I know that you're saying that these are estimations. So if we do move forward and put it out for a bid, we can then get the actual numbers of what that's going to look like. And then I would feel better at that time to really assess whether we move forward or not. So what's the time frame for that? And do we still have enough time to make sure we get this within this year?
Yes, so if we got direction this evening to put out a formal bid for decorations, we could put one out and have a response back in time for us to have general decorations. So again, the only thing would be, the caveat to that would be having a custom skyline banner that says the City of Bell Gardens. But if we went with something generic like Happy Holidays, or if it were just a present or a tree or a candy cane across the banner, that would be acceptable for this year as well.
Thank you.
So my recommendation would be if we move forward, in that meantime, we would work with our finance department and our departments to look at our current budget and see where we can find the money for the additional cost. I know it's tight, or we have a tight budget, but if it's something that we want to look at, we can look through our budget and see where we can look at and propose and look hard to see how we can fund it without going beyond.
We can also add just recommendation that we can work on with staff, doing the RFP like line item, so that way you guys can pick and choose. So if there's something that's too out of budget, then you guys, at least you have, the kitchen sink of options, and then you can pick from there. Hey, this is more cost effective, let's pick this instead. So we can do it as a line item for all of the different decorations.
Can
And
we-
also we can plan for the future. If certain things are a little cost prohibited, we can plan for the next year and budget for that accordingly. So we can add to the repertoire of our decorations as we go every year, add more to it. That would be my recommendation. I think it's kind of like most homes are. We start with a tree and we start adding to it. And we do the same thing in City Hall. Not, you don't buy everything you need at one time. You buy as you can afford. And then the bigger items like the skylines, those are the most expensive part, but they make the most impact. And then you start working your way through the different streets. But a line item, as the city attorney recommended, would be a good idea.
And in addition to that, we can also, in in the RFP, we can ask them to send us a proposal for both purchase and lease, and then determine on a year-to-year basis, so we can be flexible in how we put the RFP out to get the best options moving forward for council.
Thank you for that suggestion. I think that would be great. If we're ready for a motion, Mary, let me know.
Yes, please.
So I move to put this to RFP to make sure that we have lined items, and then to put the cost for rental and then for purchasing, please.
I'll second.
May I add that if we could please add the candy cane wraparounds,
Because it's cute. So we
right?
need
Because
to
it's
add
and
those.
cost efficient too.
Yes, and cost efficient.
Thank you so much. So we have a motion and a second. City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call?
Yes, thank you. Members of the council and successor agency, Barcena,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sanchez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guillen.
Yes.
Mayor de la Rosa.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. City Manager, will you please announce the next discussion item?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor De La Rosa. Item 11.5, discussion regarding fiscal year 2025-26 year-end card room revenue update. And for this, our Director of Finance Administrative Service, Manuel Carrillo, will provide you an update on the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, this evening we will be providing a brief overview of the recently completed fiscal year 25-26 casino revenue figures. Now, on June 8th of this year, the city adopted the fiscal year 26-27 general fund budget. As part of this presentation, a year-end 25-26 general fund projection was provided for both revenue expenditures as of June 8th of this year. General fund revenues were projected to come in at approximately $54,450,236 and expenditures at $56,423,231, resulting in a projected deficit of approximately $1,972,000. And now, as part of the continued review and analysis, we are providing a projected update at this time of the report. We project year-end general fund revenues for fiscal year 25-6 to come in at $54,215,000 and expenditures to be $56,150,000, resulting in a projected year-end deficit of about $1,934,000. Now, this figure includes the final aquatic center expenditures and grant reimbursements. And as part of the city's year-end process, final figures will be reviewed and confirmed as part of its audited financial statements to be conducted this fall by our independent auditors. As part of the city's annual year-end closeout process, revenue categories are closely monitored. The actual year-end figures are confirmed to facilitate this process. Now, at the time of this report, the fiscal year 25-26 card room revenue actual figures have been identified and confirmed. The table we have here in front of us provides a side-by-side comparison of the figures provided in fiscal year 24-25 and, of course, 25-26, showing the increased amount of card room revenue that was received in fiscal year 25-26. Now, if we do a side-by-side comparison, we received approximately 1.7 million more than the prior year. Now, on this slide, we wanted to take an opportunity to provide a brief overview of the timeline of events associated with SB 549 tribal lawsuit going back to 2024. Now, in September of 24, the SB 549 was signed into law, allowing tribes to sue private card rooms to stop the play of certain table games. In January of 25, 7 California tribes filed their coordinated lawsuits against state card rooms ahead of the deadline. April of 25, statutory deadlines mandated by SB 549 for tribes to file their legal challenges. October of 25, the Sacramento Superior Court upheld the dismissal of the lawsuit, ruling that the matter preempted federal Indian gaming laws and finalized the dismissal. In late 2025, tribal legal teams initiated appeals to challenge the dismissal of the higher state appellate courts. And June of this year, the San Francisco Superior Court judge struck down the state gaming regulations, ruling that the Bureau of Gaming Control exceeded its authority. And at the present time, a case has been appealed against the Court of Appeals. So what are some of the next steps for Bell Gardens? Well, staff recommends that the city take the following steps to address and monitor city revenue. Continue to closely monitor card room revenue. Develop contingencies to address any long-term reductions in card room revenue. Continue to develop additional revenue opportunities. Of course, we have the voter-approved 1/4% sales tax ballot measure BG, which was passed this past June. This would bring in an estimated $1.3 million per year. Now, at this time, the necessary documentation has been completed and filed with the CDTFA, which is the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, for it to go into effect on October 1st. Retail cannabis, there are currently 5 development agreements signed. 2 operators are currently fully operational. 2 additional are expected to open in September. and one is expected to begin operations in November. General fee study, RFP is currently open. We are accepting bids for this service. The implementation of HDL business license and audit and administrative services, as well as cannabis audit services. This will help the city to maximize and recover revenues, as well as the continued economic development efforts to attract more business to Bell Gardens. The Economic Development Department is proactively reaching out to various business sectors to try and attract them to the city. That does conclude our brief presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions that council might have on the topic.
Thank you, Director Carrillo, for the thorough presentation. I did see that in one of the current efforts is the RFP for the general fee study. Do we have approximately like a projected timeline when we'll have like a completed general fee study? Just out of curiosity to see if you know where that timeline will fall within the next you know budget timeline.
Right. Well, the RFP is currently open, and we are currently accepting bids. Currently, Director Costa, I'm not sure. So I'm not sure if you recall the cutoff time for that.
Yeah, so the RFP is out for another 10 days for additional solicitation because the deadline was last week and we only received one proposal.
Correct.
So we expanded a little more time, 17 days, additional days. So we're hoping end of the 17 days we'll get more responses for on the RFP. From then that point on, go through contracts. So my expectation is that we wouldn't implement anything till next fiscal year. If the fee study's done and we implement it, it wouldn't be until next year.
There are legal requirements in terms of implementing fees, so it wouldn't be immediate implementation. So that acting city manager is correct on that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments from my fellow colleagues?
So I see that the casino revenue deficit right now is about 1.9 million. We're projecting about 1.3. As far
Dr.
as-
Daniels, I'm so sorry. So that's for the just general fund revenue and expenditures, not necessarily the casino figures per se, but just the overall general fund revenue and expenditures. Correct.
So 1.9, thank you for clarifying that. And then we're estimating about 1.2, 1.3 with Measure BG, right?
Correct, that's
Okay.
correct.
And so then I know we talked about 2 operating cannabis stores, and then the other 2 are in process of. What other means other than trying to find right now other sources of revenue, of things of that nature, bringing more businesses to Bell Gardens? What else can we do to try to maximize this, just so we're not at the deficit that we're at right now?
Well, I mean, aside from where the efforts currently, I think certainly the economic development component is big in terms of being able to try to find additional and business entities that would be willing to come into the city and work with us. It's kind of the thing where we just have to look at everything across the board. We have to sort of strategize with all the entities across to make sure that we are exploring every option, really. I think we've touched on some of the big things here, but it's a constant process of trying to find the potential, anything potential that could come through.
And I think, and I appreciate all your efforts putting this together. And I think with the fee study as well, hopefully being implemented next year, we'll be able to kind of regulate some of it. I know that some of our fees are extremely low and not up to par compared to where we should be. So I'm hoping that with the efforts of all this, we're able to see it balance a little bit more. But I really do appreciate everything that staff is doing to get us out of the rut.
And definitely the implementation of HDL and that
Yes.
that system will be very beneficial to the city.
Yeah, so the goal there is to maximize the current business license that are not who are active or not active, to capture all those revenues, and then look at other additional revenues or where we're at as far as licensing fees, which we're pretty low, and how we're charging as far as to be equitable amongst all businesses, not just our small businesses versus our larger businesses. So that's something that is part of their scope of work. So fee structure, they would look at that and also look at what other ways we can maximize or at least be equitable amongst the businesses.
More or less, how long does that project in particular take to come back to us for reporting?
So the HDL process is it's gonna be the evaluation of existing licenses. So that should take about, I think they projected about a few months, correct, Alfonso?
Yes, correct. But in total, the project in total, on today's meeting is where we approve the PSA for the revisions that are doing. So after we execute that PSA, we can start the total project. So we've already had the approvals. We can start essentially within a week or so, getting that all under. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'd like to place a motion to receive and file this report.
Yep.
Thank you so much. City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you, members of the council and successor agency Barcena,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sanchez,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Guillen,
Yes.
and Mayor de la Rosa.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
We will now proceed with council member comments. We'll go ahead and proceed with the order as listed on the agenda.
Yes. Thank you, staff. Thank you, colleagues, for a good meeting, and have a good night.
For my comments, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for all the incredible work. Really appreciate it. We're approaching almost towards the end of the year. It's crazy to think that, we're around September, and once Labor Day hits, it's pretty much just like, a pedal to the metal, really, to the end of the year. So I just want to say thank you for all the amazing work, and happy Labor Day, everybody.
Thank you, staff, for all the hard work. I know it's difficult sometimes presenting challenges to us, especially when it comes to our finances, but I do appreciate you guys doing all that. I also want to request that we honor Sergeant Puente, who has been a longtime officer here in our department. He grew up here in Bell Gardens, and so I know he's going to retire this week. And I think it's only appropriate that council recognizes him and acknowledges him appropriately. So if we can agendize that for a future meeting, please. And best of luck to
Second
him.
that.
And best of luck to him as well. Thank you.
Just thank you so much and have a good night.
I want to thank my colleagues, our legal team, staff for such a great meeting. It's like Mr. Chavez mentioned, we were approaching towards that later half of the year, and it's just great to see all the tremendous progress and strides that the city has taken forward. And I think we've kept up some great momentum, and I just want to thank everyone, for all that hard work. Thank you so much. And with that said, there's no objection by the members of the City Council successor agency. I will now close the meeting at 7:57 p.m. Thank you.